What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Now, in today's video, all I can say is strap in, yeah? Get ready for two of the very best stories that I've ever read. It's not even a joke. Yeah, you might think I'm joking. Look at my face. Don't look like I'm joking. I'm deadly serious. This is r/IDOWorkHereLady, and these are two of the best stories I've ever seen. Here we go. My face on the building, but somehow I'm not the owner. I love this subreddit. I feel for all of the employees out there, and wow, you've got some doozies. You're all fighting the good fight. Now, as for me, I have an IT services business serving corporate clients. But several years ago, I also had a small chain of computer repair stores and took consumer walk-ins. I was a pretty active owner and would work the front counter regularly because I like to interact with customers. And when I can, I like to try and stay close to what the front line is struggling with, since they understand the business way better than me in some key regards. I also think pretty highly of myself, so I used to plaster my face on all of my advertising, which resulted in me becoming sort of a walking billboard for my business around town. That's amazing. So, I'm working the counter at one of my shops, and this fellow I'd never seen before walks in and brings his computer to the counter and tells me that his computer is not working and that I need to fix it. He was a second language learner, so you can't always assume someone is trying to be rude if English is not their first language. Sometimes it just sounds that way, so patience is important, and so is not judging someone. I thank him for coming in and explain to him the diagnostic fees we charged, and that the diag fee went towards the repair, you know, all the standard stuff, and he immediately flies into a rage. He tells me that he'd already paid the fee and the computer still wasn't fixed. "Oh no," I said. "When did you bring it in?" He said he couldn't remember, but that it wasn't that long ago. So I looked it up on the computer system, and sure enough, there is his customer record complete with a serial number of his system. But it had been a full year since he had that computer in. When I explained this to him, and that it had been too long by anyone's standards, most new consumer computers only have a 1-year factory warranty, and this was not a new computer, he flies into another tirade about what a ripoff we are, and how I need to fix this computer because it never worked right after he got it back. I explained it had just been too long, and that sets him off, screaming and threatening me. Now, fortunately, there was a counter between us, so I tell him to get out of my store. I use profanity. Look, it was not my finest hour, but profanity is a strong suit of mine. Well, if you've got it in your locker, just use it, man. But he won't leave, and says he isn't leaving until I fix his computer for free. And he says he'll call the police if he has to. So I pick up the phone and dial police for him, explaining to the dispatcher I have someone in my shop who threatened me and refuses to leave. So, the police show up, and by this time, the guy has calmed down a bit, and even seems thankful the police had arrived. After a short interview as to my job role and the situation, the responding officer says, "Sorry, the owner wants you to leave, so you're going to have to leave." This sets the guy off even more, and he starts screaming, "He's not the owner! I know the owner! The owner would never treat me this way! He's not the owner!" So the policeman says, "This is the owner. I happen to know he's the owner." The guy continues to argue with the officer, but he remains calm. "Okay, how about we talk about this outside?" To my surprise, the guy grabs his computer and goes outside with the officer, still ranting on and on about how I had no authority, and the officer had no right to throw him out, and he wants to speak to the owner. I could still see and hear the two of them outside the retail glass doors, as the police officer calmly points to the 9-foot tall retail windows on the front of the store, with my photo taking up 2/3 of the space and my name and title in about 9-inch bold letters under my giant ugly face. So the man goes silent, packs his computer into his car, hops in and drives away. I never saw him again. I was really thankful one of my clerks didn't have to deal with that guy. But when I messaged them all this story, they all wish they had been there. Listen guys, as I said in the intro, if you haven't heard of this subreddit before and you haven't seen one of my other videos on it, then you're missing out first of all. And second of all, I wasn't lying. It has some of the best stories on the whole of Reddit as shown by that story. To be honest with you, OP, I'm not quite sure about having your face plastered across your buildings and all, but hey, it's your business, it's your company, do what you gotta do. I have to say, I do love the fact that you are so well ingrained in your business to the extent that you don't mind, doing the dirty work, going and working on the counter and, being part of your staff and really understanding what it's like to work in every sort of role in your business. If I ever was like a big business owner, I would love to think that I would act like this because it's so good. It helps you understand exactly what's going on. But yeah, I guess it could put you in a situation like this one where you are dealing with a customer who doesn't think that you're the owner because, why would the owner be working in checkout, that sort of stuff. So instead, you see what working with these sort of customers is like, these entitled ones, dealing with them. You did it very well, I've got to say, and it made for a hilarious ending. Imagine that guy walking outside, turning around and seeing your big old ugly face on the side of the building. Incredible. And by the way, I don't know what he looks like, but I'm allowed to say he's ugly because OP has called himself ugly, so leave me alone. It's not bullying. And now moving on to our second exceptional story of today's episode. Don't grab the staff. She's a black belt. First things first, I've been hearing these stories on YouTube, and the discussion with my wife came up if I'd ever seen anything like this in my time in retail. This story took place in the mid-1990s, so I'm a bit fuzzy on the specific details, and of course, names have been changed to protect the innocent as well as the guilty. Back in my 20s, I worked at a local hardware store that was just down the street from the city university, where I ended up being promoted to store manager. This was my college job. I had a small staff that included several other students, in particular, a young lady cashier, Maria, who aside from being an employee, was also the girlfriend of a friend or classmate of mine, who happened to be the manager of the barbecue restaurant in the same strip mall with us. So I kind of looked out for her. She was the sort of young lady who drew attention from her looks and figure that tended to receive unwanted advances from random customers. This was typically dealt with by a passing comment of, "This is not a dating service," from me to the cashier. We'd already worked this out. I wasn't getting after her, I was giving her an escape route. In this shop, the cashier's station was basically a booth with 2 cash registers just at the front door of the store. The break room's in the back room, and you have to walk through the paint department to get to the break room. At her break time, Maria was walking back to the break room to relax and break out her books for class. I was making my rounds through the store, checking inventories, etc., when I heard a polite, "Excuse me," some muffled words I couldn't hear, a more irritated, "Excuse me," not the kind like, "Please let me pass," but more like, "What the actual F did you just say to me?" Followed by, in quick succession, a scream, loud oof noise like someone got the wind knocked out of them, a scuffle, thud, and loud crack. Then a lot of unintelligible screaming. Me and my floor salesman ran back to the area where the paint shaker was to find a guy we will call Grabby, one of the maintenance staff from the university, laying on the floor, gripping his arm, and yelling how Maria had assaulted him. "Call the paramedics! Call the cops!" Meanwhile, Maria was in shock, just repeating, "Oh my god, I hurt him. Please don't fire me." I asked my salesman to call 911 and tend to the guy on the floor. I took Maria back to the office and had her lay out the story for me, knowing that I couldn't capture audio, but I did have very good video of the paint department as it was a high theft shoplifting area. The store, being in a strip mall with a popular barbecue joint right next door, happened to have police officers having lunch. So, the police response was officers were in the store before the salesman could even hang up the phone. Officer 1 was sent back to the office to interview me and Maria. He pulled Maria aside and asked her for her side of the story. Grabby, apparently, as she was trying to get by him in the aisle, blocked her way and muttered to her in a threatening way that he was going to intimately assault her after work, which apparently prompted the louder, annoyed "excuse me." He then proceeded to rather forcefully grab her breast. She, though, then grabbed his wrist, spun, and did one of those over-the-shoulder flips and put him on the ground, where she heard something break, and as soon as the guy got his breath back, he started screaming in pain. She then turned so that her back was to me and pulled her top and bra slightly aside to reveal where his grip on her had been. He'd bruised her, leaving clear finger and thumbprints according to what she told me later. Officer 1 had her sit down and then proceeded to take my side of the story. I explained what the story was as I knew it, what I heard and saw, and showed him the videotape evidence. And sure enough, you could clearly see the guy lean in, her face sort of crinkle in an annoyed expression, the grab, and the flip. She was clearly in self-defense. At this point, the paramedics were working on the guy. He had a huge lump on his head where it hit the floor, and his arm, the one he grabbed her with, was broken. Apparently, he came down on the tiled concrete floor pretty badly. Officer 2 came in to report to Officer 1, who I guess was the higher ranking, I don't know. But he said Grabby said that she grabbed him out of the blue and just flipped him and broke his arm because he wouldn't get out of the way fast enough. That's the most ridiculous excuse I've ever heard, Grabby boy. Long story short, he ended up escorted to the hospital by police to get his arm set, and then arrested for intimate assaults. Can you use the real word here? I'd rather you didn't, so thank you. Battery, he left bruises, and giving a false police report. Maria was saying she didn't want to press charges. She'd already hurt him. However, this type of assault, the charges are automatic. The fallout for Grabby? Well, he was charged and convicted on all counts through a plea deal. He never went to court as the evidence was pretty overwhelming. He was banned for life from that store, fired from his job at the university, placed on an intimate offender registry, ended up divorced as his wife was none too happy about what he did, and last we knew, he was a guest of the state for at least 5 years. So at least we never had to testify. I might have left out one critical detail here, somewhat intentionally. Maria was a physical education major and was a black belt. Boom, another great story. I mean, he didn't really leave out that key detail because it was in the title, but I get what you're saying, OP. Great story. Maria, absolute legend. I mean, that is why people do self-defense. You know, kung fu, karate, taekwondo, all that stuff. It is technically self-defense and it should only be used for that reason, not aggressively. That's like the whole point of martial arts, isn't it, really? And it's been put into fantastic practice here. That guy, man. Why? We're sick of people like you. It's 2021, mate. Go back to the, I don't know, I want to say 1800s, but no one even liked you then. So I'm just done with people like that. What's the point? Really? I mean, can you just not like go on a date with a girl or something like, I don't know, just match them on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble? There are loads of apps, mate. Go and use them. Don't assault people at work, please, man. You're better than that, Grabby. You're better than that. But yeah, honestly, good to see his life's been ruined and his wife has divorced him. Good for everyone, really, because you don't really want to be associated with a person like that. And if you are a person like that, you don't deserve to live in the society we all live in and enjoy. So get rid of you. Into prison you go, Grabby boy. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I'll be honest, this video was sensational. And if you disagree, you're wrong. And I'm really sorry to say that, but it's just wrong, man. So if you want more from this subreddit, I'll be honest, after reading these couple of stories, I'm going to be making more videos, whether you guys like it or not, for my own bloody enjoyment. Check them out on screen right here. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe for more videos like this one each and every day. And I will see you guys all tomorrow with a brand new video.